gentlemen, the PW Fan is a pro wrestling podcast created by fans for the fans. And thank you for joining us. We are here, episode 61. I'm your host, the grumpy old school wrestling fan, collector, barber, and musician, Talk Wrestling, Tim Gilbert.
And I'm your host, the architect of pro wrestling podcast, Funko Pop collector, and the 3-7 Steelers fan, Andy.
Represent. Fucking slug.
the no-selling wrestling indie fan and football lover, Jeremy.
And Jeremy, this is a good time of year for you right now, right? Or good.
Got the World Cup. Got the NFL.
Cup.
We got basketball. You got all the sports going.
Yeah, Jeremy's excited. He's pumped up. All right. Well, in episode 61 today, we will be discussing War Games matches, Bray Wyatt, Full Gear, and more. Before we start the show, you don't have to do it right now, but maybe after you listen or when you settle down, when you get to work. If you guys could check us out on YouTube, go over and like and subscribe. Most importantly, subscribe. If we could get to 100 subscribers, we can have an official URL, and we can stop doing this whole long paragraph thing I got to read every time. I know you guys are about as sick of it as I am. And don't forget, shirts over at ProWrestlingTees.com, your 1 and 2 pocket logo, and a basic front logo shirt. And they are beautiful shirts, great quality. I was wearing our basic one with our faces on the front all day yesterday. All other social media, you just look up at the PW Fan, and we should pop right up. And Andy, I'm going to pass it over to you and get you started for episode 61.
Alrighty, starting off with Raw as always. Seth Rollins cut a promo, talking, just hyping himself up as a U.S. champion. I know he's supposed to be a heel, but he's way over. It's ridiculous. Fans love singing his music. Bobby Lashley interrupts though and says he's gonna end up getting his title back. Bobby Lashley would then go on to wrestle Mustafa Ali. So I don't know if maybe they're reigniting the storyline with Seth Rollins or not, but Bobby, according to this, has Seth in his sights, so we'll have to see from there. Matt Riddle had a match with Chad Gable. He ended up defeating him. It was a really good match. Take both guys like separately, all right? I know Riddle can be annoying sometimes, like on the mic and stuff, but when he's in the ring, he's awesome. And Chad Gable is super good. He's got that amateur background, He's had some great matches with people. One with AJ a long time ago, I remember, was really good. So these two put together, it was really good match.
Yeah, if you take out like that, their gimmicks, like you said, they're like easily one of the best matches on Raw.
I mean, they had a whole back and forth, like, bro, shoosh, bro. Like, take that shit out. Like, it was super good. And just for a Raw match.
Yeah.
I know they've wrestled a couple times when RK Bro was a thing against.
One of the things when you and I were kids growing up is we loved watching, like, Raw and Smackdown wasn't all just a bunch of stuff. Like, there were some bangers on there, and that's the thing that I hope that we start getting back to more is like, okay, so you want to put all the storyline stuff and all you need that stuff to, especially at this level, to get interest. It can't just be matches. But, if you want to do like silly stuff, okay, whatever, but keep giving me good matches like this, Like, I think this is a step in the right direction of at least keep the wrestling good. If you want to do the other stuff, fine, but at least keep the core of what it is awesome,
Yeah, it was really good. And like I said, just for a TV match, like especially. And the main event was very good too, so I'll get to that in a little bit. We had Miz come out. He came out in like a sweater. He was like dressed as like nice guy Miz, I guess. Sweater and
nice
glasses.
guy Miz.
Sweater and glasses. I don't know.
It's a good name for him.
Gargano came out, and again, we've talked about it every week. I don't really know what they're doing with the storyline.
I don't know.
Earlier today, I sent you guys a clip of Gargano and Adam Cole from NXT TakeOver. I'm just like, God, those were the days, but I don't know what they're doing.
Like what happened
right now. And then
I'm surprised because Triple H is in charge. I'm like, Gargano's like one of his guys.
Look, hopefully the payoff will be good. That's all I'm hoping for.
Yeah, yeah.
By the end of the segment, though, Dexter Loomis, who has been wrapped up in the storyline with them, was revealed to be the camera guy in the ring filming. And so he pulls down his mask and takes off his hat. And, yeah, so they're still pushing forward. I'm watching Raw right now, so we'll see. I'm sure they're going to do something this week.
So does he work for WWE now? Like in the storyline?
So Miz finally accepted that they'll have a match, and
Okay.
I don't know if they said if it was for Survivor Series or not, but that they will have a match. It might be this week, actually. Have an official match, and then if Loomis wins, he'll get the contract. Which, I mean, he's going to win.
Yeah.
How else would you keep having him on TV? You know, it's just one of those things. Like, you might not think he might not. You know, if you're like a kid, but if you're like you've been watching for years, you're like, yeah, of course he's going to win.
Right.
Get a contract. He was in NXT, and then like, why bring him back for like no payoff? Dominic Mysterio had a match with Shelton Benjamin. Now he won, but I just gotta say about Shelton Benjamin, like he's like upper 40s. I think he's like 47.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all know his kind of spot now, which is like, you know, grow the younger talent, make him look good. But God, dude, he is still so good in the ring that like he really does make people shine. And you know, he made Dominic look good.
He made Dominic look good.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like Shelton Benjamin, he never really had his due, I don't think. But man, the guy is good for being a vet. That's still like, you know, in WWE.
Yeah, he's one of the best.
He's basically kind of like what Dolph does now, which is just make everyone look good. But
I feel like Dolph's been doing that.
I feel like some people
career,
forget
though.
how good Shelton Benjamin is because he doesn't get it, you know, in the ring all that often. But
Yeah.
like
When it was like him and Charlie Haas as a tag team.
Team Angle,
Oh, it was glad.
That was
Yeah.
great.
One of the best.
Shelton Benjamin versus HBK
And-
on a Raw. It's
Yeah, I was going to say
fantastic.
homework for this week. I mean, I have a different thing for later for the classic show of the week, but yeah, if anybody hasn't ever seen I think it was 2005.
You would know better than me.
Yeah, it's either I think it's
Was that a Taboo
2000
Tuesday or something?
No, it was
Cyber
on,
Tuesday.
no, it was on a Raw. I
No,
remember.
I thought it was
because-
a voted match though by the fans.
No, I think you're thinking of something else. It was on a Raw because I remember we were watching it with Dad at Grandma's house. Anyway, you know, and Grandma had basic cable. Let's put it that way. But yeah, if anybody hasn't seen that, Shelton Benjamin versus Shawn Michaels on Raw. I think it's 2004 or 5. It's pretty amazing.
No, you were right the first time. May 2nd, 2005.
Yep, there we go.
It was a 5-star match, apparently.
Yep,
Is that when they were on Spike TV?
Probably.
I don't know if they had switched back over because they were on USA. Then they left and went to TNN. TNN became Spike. And then they went back to USA.
Yeah.
See, this is the stuff that I'm good for on the show, guys. You know, Andy's your guy. He takes you through all the modern stuff, but when you need to come in the clutch in these situations, this is what I'm here for.
So yeah, point is Shelton Benjamin. You know, he does a good job at what his job is nowadays, and I think people forget just how good he is for being 47 years old, especially.
Crazy that he's almost 50.
I know.
I mean, I'm not trying to. I mean, he's 47. He's not 50. I'm not trying to age the guy, but it's just so crazy that you think about what a 40-year-old wrestler, 38-year-old wrestler looked like in 1987, 1997, and what they look like now. It's like everybody looks very youthful still. It's pretty. I mean, I think it's cool. But I just wonder what changed in particular, why everybody looks so different, you know?
They're not doing a bunch of drugs.
No, but there's this old, I can't, you can't even say that because, but you can't even say that because I've seen there's a funny meme that's like, if there's, if anybody remembers like Nick at Night for our generation, that show Cheers that was on there. I know we might have a couple listeners that grew up watching that are older, but there's a picture of all those people from Cheers, and it has their age of like how old they were during it. And when you're a kid, you think to yourself like, oh yeah, all these people are at least like 42, 50 years old at least. And like, some of them are not. Some of them are like 30, and it's like, why do people look so different now than they used to at that age? It's weird. AJ Styles does not look like he's going to be, hitting 50. It's crazy.
I was going to say something about Seinfeld, and I was like, I don't want to go off track. So it's a similar thing to what you're saying with Cheers.
I mean, we are a podcast, though, so we can, we don't always have to be rigid to the timeline,
No, I know. I just want to keep pressing forward as always. Mia Yim.
Andy wants to press forward. Andy's stomach's already calling him.
Dude, you never know. I'm fine right now. Last week on the podcast, we mentioned, we were trying to figure out who the final member for the heel women's team would be for War Games, and one of the mystery members for the babyface women's team for War Games, and I had thrown out Mia Yim and Rhea Ripley, and we were like, no, it doesn't really make sense. Well, guess what?
Who said that? No one said it didn't make sense.
We were like, nah, they're kind of doing their own thing. They'll probably be out there for AJ's match and like Finn's match. I think that's what we said. But no, Mia Yim decided after saying no to joining the heel team. Mia Yim said that, she came out with them and said that she will be on Alexa Bliss, Asuka, and Bianca Belair's team. They still need one more member. I don't remember if Rhea Ripley agreed to be on the heel side or not, but I would assume she is, and that would fill up that team side. So we're still missing one more. Candice LeRae is hurt. I would think that she would have been the last one, but we will see if that ends up coming to fruition or not. Austin Theory has changed character directions.
No more selfies.
No more cell phone out there with him. He has a beard now.
He has a beard.
He has a beard.
For a second, I thought you said he has a beer. I was like, well,
he has a beer. He could have a beer too. But he seems to be more aggressive and a more serious Austin Theory after losing his Money in the Bank cash in. So,
well, when you get jobbed out for a year, you gotta.
Yeah.
Well, it might have been all the part of the plan, and Triple H is like, this is where I want to go with you. I don't like the direction that Vince was going with you, but we need an organic way of going about it, and Booker Andy.
Booker Andy. We need a Booker Andy.
All right.
Right.
That's what you said last week, yeah.
DM us or email us if we need a Booker Andy shirt.
The main event of the show, though, I said I was going to talk about it, and it was Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor for the United States Championship. I can't remember the last time they've had a match. All I can think about is their SummerSlam match for the first ever Universal Championship that Finn Balor won, but Seth Rollins injured Finn. Winner was Seth Rollins. Very good match. Theory came out afterwards and attacked Rollins around the announcer table and held up the U.S. title. So not only Bobby Lashley seems to be going for it, but so does Austin Theory. This is where that aggressive Austin Theory stuff I was talking about comes into play. But yeah, Seth and Finn, very good main event. Finn is believable. He is a smaller guy compared to some, but he's very believable that he can actually put up a fight or win against some of these people. Seth's not that much bigger than Finn, to be honest.
I'm just curious to see, are we going to get, Demon Finn? I know Vince didn't like it that much, but are we going to, Demon Finn as in, the Judgment Day? If he comes out, instead of the red and black, it'd be, purple and black.
I feel like no.
Just
because I feel like it's an alternate personality for, his face character.
I know.
He could come out as Angel Finn for his heel character.
Angel? I don't know about that one, Booker Andy.
Dude, God could get involved again. I don't know.
Oh, boy.
God involved.
Well, he'll be on his side this time.
It wouldn't be the first time God has been Yeah. God could make his return
in the
to
WWE. God positive out, man. Him and Shawn Michaels against Vince McMahon.
He's been around.
But that wraps up Raw.
God's a vet at this point.
Yeah. Hall of Famer introduction. I said introduction. Induction.
Inductee.
It's been a long day, guys. That wraps up Raw, though. Dynamite and Rampage this week were all, for once we can say, it was a go-home show for the pay-per-view, since their pay-per-views are so far apart. So there was an Acclaim music video, opened with Captain Insano, who showed no mercy. Tim thought it was terrible. I thought it was a fun little throwback to the opening
I'm no
scene
fun
of Waterboy.
I knew it was gonna be goofy like that, and I loved it.
Yeah, I loved it. So me and Jeremy are not with you, Tim.
I'm no fun.
Scissor
Get this guy out of here. Get this guy who's no fun out of here.
Samoa Joe cut a promo talking about his betrayal of Wardlow, basically saying that he struck first before Wardlow could strike first. You know, he just got there before he could. Wardlow comes out and Hobbs comes out, and they all brawl.
Big man brawl.
Big man brawl. It's crazy every time Wardlow does a swanton over the top ropes onto people.
Oh my God.
As big as he is.
Just wait until we get to the match on the pay-per-view, too.
Tim just found out this weekend that Wardlow was a big mark for the Hardy Boys. I thought he knew.
Had no idea.
Yeah, it's like his favorite wrestlers of all time.
It makes sense now why he did what he did on the match on the pay-per-view.
So
I guess in my head, when the guy's that jacked and big, I think the stereotype in my head, I'm like, oh, he probably liked, I was gonna say Kevin Nash or something, but I don't know. You know what I mean? Something like that. No, that's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, this brawl, helped fans get hyped for their triple threat match that was going to be at Full Gear on Saturday. Death Triangle cut a promo after their match, and they talked about the Elite with the messages that they've been hinting at their return. Death Triangle basically said, we're not stupid. We know that they're coming, so they challenged the Elite to a match if they showed up to Full Gear for the Trios Championship, and we will get to that later. Ethan Page versus Bandito for as part of the World Title Eliminator Tournament. Winner was Ethan Page. And then finally, we'll wrap up Dynamite with a promo from Moxley, which ended up causing the Firm to come out and attack. And during that attack, MJF came out and saved Moxley and then cut a promo on him. Jeremy, do you remember anything about either one of these promos specifically?
It was basically like the typical Moxley promo where he just was like, I'm going to push you to your limits and see what you got in your guts and all that stuff.
Drink your blood. I'm going to eat your guts.
Yeah.
He's basically at the end of the night, we'll see if you're actually
the devil or not.
Yeah, or good or something. Yeah.
I'm going to eat your
and then
ass.
MJF was basically just... MJF basically said he saved him, not for to help him, but just so he doesn't have an excuse.
No excuses, yep.
Yeah.
That wrapped up Dynamite, at least for what I had. Let's get into SmackDown before we get into Rampage. SmackDown opened up with Brawling Brute, Sheamus out in the ring, and then Drew McIntyre came out. They talked about how SmackDown ended the week before, where Drew McIntyre was shown as being one of the members to join them in War Games against the Bloodline. He talked about how, Drew and Sheamus might have had their differences in the past, but Drew McIntyre was still one of the best man, or was his best man in Sheamus' wedding, I think he said, and that they would, fight for them to the ends of the earth, basically, is I think what they said. It might have been exact words.
End of the earth.
The earth.
The end of the earth. They were about to announce who the fifth member of their team was, but did not get a chance to because Sami Zayn came out Uninterrupted, a.k.a. Usi in the Sky with Diamonds, was one of the nicknames he gave himself. He gave himself a lot of nicknames. He said Honorary Usi, and one of them
Usi
was
in the Sky with
Usi in the
Diamonds.
Sky with Diamonds was my favorite by far.
Wow.
Sami Zayn's the best part of the show.
He's the best part of WWE in general right now.
We will get back to all these men later in the night because Sami Zayn had a match with Butch. I believe it was in the main event of the show, but we'll get back to that. Ricochet versus Mustafa Ali in the World Cup tournament that they have going on. Winner was Ricochet, so he'll move on. A couple weeks ago, Emma returned, who was Tennille Dashwood on the Indies. They got her now involved in some romantic storyline thing with Madcap Moss.
How did that go downhill so fast with her?
I don't know. Last week, I think they had her backstage asking someone about Madcap, and they were like, "Oh, you have a crush on her?" And then this week, she's like, just happens to be waiting Gorilla with Madcap, and she's like, doing the whole, you're gonna do great against Karrion Kross. Nah, he got fucking choked out in the end again. So poor Emma. I hope the payoff is good for her because she's actually really talented. But as Tim said, we are going to talk about Bray Wyatt. So let's talk about this Bray Wyatt segment. He comes out and kind of apologizes. He doesn't like what he did to LA Knight last week in the backstage interview with the headbutt.
I didn't like this.
No? Oh, I did.
I don't like apologizing Bray Wyatt.
Well, it's one of his personas. Yeah. He's got many personas, Tim.
I just don't...
It's not just one Bray Wyatt.
Nah.
You don't like it?
I think you're in the minority with this.
I don't like that one.
Well, LA Knight came out and talked about respect and how that's the biggest commodity in the industry, not money. And in the end, he ended up slapping Bray Wyatt and said, "Now we're even." And he starts to get out of the ring. Bray Wyatt, said, "Okay," like after, being conflicted about what he wanted to do to LA one night, he said, came to a sentence and said, "All right, we're even." He had tried to shake his hand before, and that's when LA Knight had slapped him. So he goes for one more handshake to say that they're even and, squash their beef. And LA Knight slaps him again. And Bray Wyatt's eyes kind of said it all if you watch this segment.
That was a great face he made.
Yeah, LA Knight said this is a 2-for-1. So it looks like this is going to be their first feud. I mean, LA Knight hasn't had a feud since he's been back, and neither is Bray Wyatt. So
I didn't have like a mega problem with this or anything. I just didn't like that the segment humanized, and I know that's just like one of his forms or whatever, but I just thought the segment humanized Bray.
His first promo back, he was thanking the fans for his time off.
Yeah,
what
but that's
that
like
humanized him.
But that's different though, because he was good. Yeah, it's a different scenario in my head. You can break the walls.
I liked it.
I
liked it. I like it every
walls
week.
Down, Chris Jericho style for those things. Break down the walls. Break the walls down.
It's like an air. It's like an air siren. Like
yeah, that was pretty good, dude. We just hit that. We just hit those notes like back to back like that.
Yeah.
So you're not a fan of this? Well,
I don't hate it. I just didn't like.
I liked it.
I don't like. I like when Bray Wyatt is. You'll be surprised to hear this. I like when he's mystical. I like when he's.
I hate when he's mystical.
See, I understand. I understand. I guess that's just what I like. Now that's what
I like both parts
into
of it,
my
though.
wrestling.
Like I like both parts when he's this humanized version, and also when he does all the mysterious stuff. Like I think it's kind of cool where he switches in and out.
Yet Tim hated Mystical Fiend.
No, dude. Hang on. Whoa. You're very wrong. I absolutely loved the Fiend.
You loved Pandemic Fiend? Mystical Pandemic Fiend?
I did not love Pandemic Fiend. I loved the Fiend before
that was very mystical.
No, they didn't have any other choice. I liked the Fiend You know what? This is going to be a soundbite for the show right here. All right, we're going to hang on. Whoa. Let's get serious for a second. The Fiend was amazing, okay? When The Fiend first came out, when that Code Orange theme music and that first debut,
Against
amazing.
Finn Balor.
It started going bad. I thought the Hell in a Cell match with Seth was like the beginning and the end. And then the pandemic match, and then the pandemic stuff happened. And then by that point, like, you can't really do anything with that character except for be cinematic and do all this weird, crazy stuff. I just think that it got cut short for what it should have been. Something about the Hell in a Cell match, that whole scenario, like Seth, it just wasn't good. That for both guys. I mean, but they've already both acknowledged that. But that to me, up until then, when they were running the ads on TV and the Fiend would like randomly pop up on the USA Network, just his face would be like, "Yep," and like pop up real quick. I like, dude, the Fiend's awesome, but it just,
Dude, don't forget the Fiend title.
Oh, that was cool.
I
was
did
awful.
like it. What?
You don't like it?
Fucking hate it.
Isn't it
Just
funny?
his mask stretched out as a title.
Here, to
Yeah,
quote,
that's cool.
It's like hotcakes, man, but
You're gonna have to be.
damn, I fucking hated it.
You're gonna have to be a wrestling super fan to know where this quote's coming from, and Andy might smirk, but that's the beautiful thing, man. We're all different, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. And if you, but do you know what that? Do you know where that's from?
Is it from the diner?
Yeah, when he's like fucked up at the Waffle House.
Oh,
like,
that's
CM
talking to
Punk.
CM Punk.
Made you a fucking superstar.
I made you a superstar. He's like, and that's the beautiful thing. We're all different.
He's like, ooh.
Incredibly high.
My God.
Who
Anyway,
lives on the internet.
Man.
Anyway, our main event was,
and then Matt Hardy's like
another
eating
World
like.
Cup.
Sorry, hang on. Matt Hardy's like eating pancakes, and he's like,
Talks about
he's
Amy
like,
Dumas.
yeah, he's like Amy Dumas, and he's like all fucked up, and he's like leaning back. He's like, Amy Dumas, let me ask you this, punk. How come she still calls me at night? And he's like eating like French fries or something. Dude, it's really weird video. No one's
It's
ever
a wild
seen it.
video.
Yeah.
Well, the main event.
And you take Ambien, and you
Back.
know that's a prescription. All right, I'm done.
You ain't as straight edge as you think.
You're not as straight edge as you think you are.
We'll get to Punk later during Full Gear, all right?
Oh, yeah.
Shot. Main event of SmackDown was another World Cup match. It was Butch versus Sami Zayn. Good match. Winner was Butch. At the end, Roman Reigns and the Bloodline attack as they're attacking Brawling Brutes and Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. We finally get our fifth member. Big pop for him. Kevin Owens' music hits, and he comes out to the ring, and looks like he still has a little bit of a score to settle with Roman after all those pandemic matches that he got screwed over by like the Usos and whatnot, which he talked a little bit about tonight. So yeah, War Games main event is set. It is Kevin Owens, Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, and the Brawling Brutes against the entire Bloodline. That should be really good. Usually War Games is 4-on-4, and now it's 5-on-5 this year.
Yeah, it's looking really good.
Yep. So what I know that we have so far, War Games Survivor Series wise, match wise, is the match I just mentioned, the women's, but we still need one more member, and AJ versus Finn. Can you guys think of anything else? Ms. Dexter Loomis.
I think that's
again?
it for
I don't know if
now.
that's-
Yeah, that's the
I'm sure there's
WWE.
going to be some kind of United States title match announced tonight, I'm sure.
Yeah. Wasn't it the U.S. title versus Intercontinental or no?
In the past,
Okay.
they're not going to have Seth beat Gunter, and they're not going to have Gunter or beat Seth. Probably
That'd be a really good match, though.
yeah. But but the way they're building this Austin Theory and Bobby Lashley stuff, I mean, especially right now, they're showing this whole package of Austin Theory, I think.
Yeah.
That's where they're going. All right, let's quickly get into Rampage, and we can dive into Full Gear. Ricky Starks versus Lance Archer, World Title Eliminator Tournament. Winner was Ricky Starks, so he will be facing Brian Cage at Full Gear in the buy-in show. And then after Athena's match on this past Rampage, ROH Women's Champion Mercedes Martinez returned from injury. Probably to fucking chill out Athena from beating the shit out of girls.
Still thinking about that drop kick.
I swear, people, it never amounted to anything, and I know we made a big deal out of it. I still think something was weird about that. As the kids say, the vibes were off.
By the way, I know this is spoiling next week's episode of the podcast. I know this is spoiling next week's episode of the podcast, but since we just brought it up, they just announced a triple threat: Bobby Lashley, Seth Rollins, and Austin Theory for the United States Championship at Survivor Series. So there you go.
There you go.
All right, let's get into Full Gear. I went to Tim's house, as always, to watch this pay-per-view.
All right, let's just get this out of the way out front. Hang on, whoa. Speed racer over here. I know you probably got to take a number 2, knowing you, but just hang on a second.
It was a long show. All right, sorry.
Let's just get out of the way.
It was a long show that Tim didn't make it through.
I fell asleep with how many matches left?
You thought 3,
4?
There was 4.
I saw 3, and there was
after Wardlow, Samoa Joe, and Hobbs.
Yes.
Yes, 4.
Yeah.
Just to let the fans, I like to think of them as the listeners, the fans, because we're so famous. Just to let the listeners know, I did go back and rewatch. So I am called up. Don't let these shit talkers make you feel like Big Tim didn't watch. Okay, I did. All right. Go ahead, Andy. I knew you were gonna. Andy was gonna talk some mess during this.
I wasn't gonna say anything. I wasn't gonna say anything. I keep it to myself. I internalize it. I just talked to Jeremy about it. I talked to Jeremy about it beforehand. That's all.
Yeah.
Or during, like I did. I sent Snapchats of you sleeping on the couch.
I get he's taking pictures of me. I'm a dad. I work 50 hours a week.
All right, start with the buy-in. Not a big fan of the buy-in this time, except for the first match. Well, the ending of the first match, but first match of the buy-in was Best Friends Rocky Romero and Orange Cassidy, and there was supposed to be a mysterious, very evil 5th member versus 5 members of the Factory. I'm not going to name all their names. They're the same ones you see every time. All right,
it doesn't matter.
Nick Colorado, QT Marshall, and 3 other fucking dudes.
You can't even name them. Anyways.
By the end of the match, Danhausen enters back in. His comedy gimmick is kind of done. Or not comedy gimmick, but the very nice side of his gimmick is done. Is this more of his ROH gimmick that came out?
Yes.
I don't even know.
His music was different.
This is... Okay, so...
His music was darker.
Danhausen... So he had the Donovan... I think it was Donovan Danhausen, where he was just like a regular wrestler. And then, just wearing... He had his, tights and kick pads and no makeup, and, he was doing a regular wrestling thing. And then, but the Danhausen that was on the Indies in ROH seemed like kind of a hybrid between the two, like between what we're seeing now and the comedy character. Like, he would do the teeth thing and he would wrestle. When he first came into AEW, I was surprised that they were doing fully comedy with him. Like, we really haven't seen him get in any offense, and to me it was almost like, hey, Tony Khan was like, if you're gonna actually be competitive or like have serious matches with some of these guys without you getting squashed, we gotta get you a little bit more serious. So I feel like they're just kind of leaning into the more serious side of his gimmick. It doesn't feel like it's like totally like he's not like coming out trying to be like, oh, I'm like I'm crazy, horror movie guy now. But like it does seem more serious. Like he's trying to do a little bit more.
Yeah. It seems like they're flipping back and forth, kind of, because like later on there was a backstage segment, and he had his other makeup on, like the more comedy version of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's kind of like, hopefully when he has matches, then he changes into that.
Well, when he came out and started wrestling, Tim was like, "I told everyone that this guy can actually wrestle."
Yeah, how's it can go,
dude? Because as soon as he got in the ring, he started throwing German suplexes and like Taz like moves,
quick
and,
snap snooplers.
And I was like,
Taz was like, whoa.
I was like, I told everybody this guy can freaking wrestle.
Well, he finally brought out the teeth and did the teeth finisher where he puts the jar of teeth in the mouth. And, yeah, so Dane, we'll just have to see if they're continuing this gimmick week to week or if it's every so often. But winners were Best Friends, Rocky Romero, Orange Cassidy, and Danhausen. Second match, I believe it was a semifinal World Title Eliminator Tournament. Brian Cage versus Ricky Starks. Winner was Ricky Starks. To be honest, I didn't pay too much attention. Me and Tim were eating
this was like
Chinese
the
food.
20th time these guys face each other. So
yeah, they used to be on the same team.
How good was that Chinese food?
During this. Yeah,
that's all I could think about during this match.
Walk to go, some sushi.
Walk to go. Maryland, shout out.
Freaking delicious.
Jeremy,
you know what I think of every time? Yeah, that's a very good place. You know what I think of every time though with Brian Cage and Ricky Starks is there's this tweet. It was something like they were wrestling in Philly, and Brian Cage tweets like, "Where's the Philly street fight at?" And then Ricky Starks is like, "In Philly, you big dumb bitch." And he like tweeted back at him that, and that's all I think about.
Oh my god, so good. Oh yeah, and speaking of hey, we gave Maryland a little shout out. Our buddies on the Slippery Stallions podcast, I made a prediction a while back. I said these guys are really funny. They're going to start to get, I think they're going to do something. They're going to get big. Hey, congrats on their first video getting to 1 million views. That's super cool. Stoked to be buddy. Yeah, stoked to be buddies with you guys, and the video that they did put up was hilarious. So go to Slippery Stallions page and check that out if you want a good laugh. You'll know exactly which one because I'm sure they pinned it.
And then our final buy-in match was Eddie Kingston versus, I hope I say it right. Poor me every time. Jun Akiyama. Jun Akiyama. I don't know. They just call him Akiyama. All right. I hate these strong style slap back and forth.
I hate them. I hate it.
Fucking hate it. So
And
if this was
now,
your
Jeremy,
jam.
Jeremy, it's okay if you like it. If anybody's listening, if you like it,
It's your
just
jam.
tell me.
It's your jam. You love this match.
I just would love to sit down though and be like, okay, what?
And be like, see this match from 1975? No stars. Not one, and it's 5 stars.
You didn't see Bruno and Harley Race do that, did you?
Now you know what? I
old.
didn't hate this match. It wasn't my favorite by far at all. But to me, I just liked how much it meant to Eddie Kingston that he wrestled this guy.
Okay, so I was gonna say this. I hate the slap fight thing, but I understand that it is a style and it is a whatever. People like it. I'm gonna be nice here.
Yeah,
I will
more.
But I liked. Well, yeah, it's like a display of who's tougher. I understand, to a degree. But I did think it was really cool how much Eddie Kingston loves that type of wrestling, and his speech after the match. I mean, I'm a very passionate person. I love music. I love wrestling. I love art. And anytime I see somebody be super passionate about something and to the point where they would shed tears about it, I always think it's cool. So the fact that Eddie Kingston, it meant so much to him, and he respects that type of wrestling that much. I did think that part was cool, even if the match itself wasn't for me. It's like seeing a band, right? Like it's like seeing a band that you're like, hey, this type of music like isn't really my thing, but I know that they clearly love it and they're very authentic about it. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean, brother. But that wraps up the buy-in. So let's dive into the actual full show. Opening match was, I'm so glad Tim mentioned that he's glad they do this too. In quotations, it's now Jungle Boy Jack Perry. It's not just Jungle Boy. All right?
Yeah.
Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
But JR's JR's old and out of touch. The dude's been calling him this since day one. Day one, he was doing it. Even when they told him that to stop, he still did it. And now
there goes Jack Perry.
Changed his gear a little bit. Looks a little more serious, though the boots still need to go, in my opinion.
You don't like those boots?
No, I fucking hate them.
Well, they just don't make sense anymore. It's like the rest of his outfit. It's like all of a sudden. But I told Andy last night or the other night, I said the boots are the only thing right now besides the hair that connects him to the Jungle Boy character.
Besides his natural hair.
No, but like if he changes his boots to just black boots, it's like the Jungle Boy character. I don't know. It's like what about him is jungly?
It wouldn't make sense. Yeah.
Put some tiger stripes on there.
I don't like the boots either, but I feel like he keeps them because it's the one thing that's
brown with the black.
Everything.
Make the boots black.
I'm with you.
Yeah, it's an odd pairing.
Clearly, the tights and the knee pads don't go with the boots.
But it was Jungle Boy versus Luchasaurus in a steel cage match. I like this match. Jungle Boy started bleeding pretty early on. It was pretty good amount of blood covering most of his face. The story of the match seemed to be that Luchasaurus is basically beating the shit out of Jungle Boy most of the time. At one point, Christian opened up the cage door, which we haven't seen at all in AEW, and then Christian got ejected to the back of the arena. Which I don't know how you can do that if it's a non-disqualification match, but I brought that up to Tim. He's like, I don't know, we'll have to mention it. So it doesn't really make sense. One of the final spots.
The reason why it's worth mentioning is because even the announcers were like, well, keep in mind, they had to say, like, because people that are watching maybe order this pay-per-view. Let's say that you just ordered your first AEW pay-per-view and you're used to WWE rules, right? And you're like, I don't know, 15 and you don't know anything else. And then all of a sudden you see the guys. Yeah, you see the guys get out of and then you get out of the cage. It might be confusing. So like the announcers had to say, like, keep in mind you're not supposed to leave. Like they're supposed to stay in there.
But the big spot at the end that, after Jungle Boy finally started to make a comeback, he put Luchasaurus on the table, climbed the top of the cage, and did a lot of people are comparing to Shawn Michaels' elbow drop kind of thing.
It did look like it.
Yeah.
It looked good, but man, the table, I wish like it just like broke in slow motion. It like could have been.
I was about to say it wasn't like a nice clean. It was like, ew. It just like
it was like he did this cool dive and like puts his life on the line, and he did hit it, but it was like womp womp womp. Like the way that it went down, it was like, oh.
Yeah. He talked about it afterwards in the media scrum. Jungle Boy did. And he was like, he talked about that too, because he was like, I didn't know where to land at first. Because he's like, I didn't want to go over it and overshoot it.
Just high as shit.
Yeah, also. And so he's like, I just made to make a split-second decision.
But he did that move right, and then
if
put
I
him
was
into the bear trap.
dude, I would have done it way better, dude. I would have gotten up there and made it way better, bro.
But he did that elbow drop right, and then put Luchasaurus in the snare trap, right?
Yeah.
And then that's how he won, I believe.
Yeah, then Luchasaurus tapped out. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, winner was Jungle Boy. I thought it was a good opening match.
It's really good.
Second match, Death Triangle versus the Elite. for the Trios Tag Team Championships. That triangle comes out, and then we get, Dark Arena video on the. It wasn't the Titantron, but it was like, I don't know what you call it.
Titantron. Up top.
Yeah, up top, like one for like basketball and hockey and stuff.
Yeah.
Video. I'm not going to say what the message was. It was just some kind of cryptic.
Carry
thing.
on.
Yeah, it was. It ended with "Carry On," and then you hear "Carry On, My Wayward Son," and which they probably spent a buttload of money to use.
I thought
What a great song to come back with.
I thought the song was awesome. I thought the whole, like, we are the blah, 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 we are the blah, blah, blah. I was like, this is like some very...
We're the gears of change.
I was like, this is some pretentious... Yeah. This is some pretentious-ass bullshit.
That was kind of weird.
Yeah, I was like, all that's lame. If they had just left all that out and done the dark, like, carry on my wayward... I would have been like, yeah, hell yeah, that's dope. But I was like, why did you have to put all, like, the... like jerking off stuff like right before that.
That didn't even seem like it fit with it.
It did. Either. It was like pyramids and shit, like randomly, like whoever like the video designer was for that made no sense.
Yeah, it was like completely different designs for each of those two options.
Well, let's.
It was like half bad, and then when they came out, it was awesome. And then like because I was like, this is lame. And then all of a sudden, they hit
like
the
best part was to me was the crowd was singing along with the song.
Right.
Like, this is like a perfect entrance for them.
I was very excited for them to come back. They were definitely excited for them to come back. When they got in the ring and the match started, I honestly don't know how I didn't hear it at first. I knew they were.
Yeah, I thought you guys were like
I knew they were chanting something, but basically the entire arena.
It was a very loud chant.
Was chanting "Fuck CM Punk." Now, these are the same people that were so excited for him to be back and give him. I mean, I know they were in Chicago when he came back, but every time he came out, they were still excited. It didn't matter where they were.
This is also New Jersey.
What is that? Does Jersey not like Punk?
No one likes Jersey.
But New Jersey and New York they like to be the heel. They play up to the...
Well, this entire place was chanting, fuck CM Punk.
If you're from New York,
just New Jersey... I started laughing at that.
There's no fans in there? Like, everyone is just, like, turned, like...
All right, listen, boss. Yeah. If you're from New York and New Jersey, you know what you're doing, all right, boss? You know what you're going there. You're going in there, you're starting problems. But
Vince Russo was in there chanting, like...
Yeah. Russo started the chant.
Yeah, Russo started the chant.
Bro, it was a swing.
And then they chanted Colt Cabana after that too.
Oh my god!
Listen,
I'm just kidding.
I'm saying it right here on the pod. This is where my loyalties lie. The man right there,
blood red mad.
I don't give a f, bro.
All right, let's just talk about the match.
No, it's a heated debate.
I'll say this about the match. Yeah,
I mean it's a heated thing.
I'm a listeners that are like fuck Punk.
I'm sure people are listening. Like Tim's a fucking annoying as hell. Like Punk sucks. He's a dickhead. I understand where you're coming from. There were so many people
wearing CM Punk shirts with a big black taped X on it in the crowd too.
Whatever. You know what? Whatever to all ya. All right. Go get yourself a bagel and go fuck yourself.
All right. Well, the Elite. Go on, Jeremy.
Can I say this about the match first? This is what I think that I used to love about AEW is this style of match, or at least this like.
This was a good match. The Elite, unlike when Kenny first came back, they did not look rusty.
Yeah, Kenny looked good. He looked ready.
A lot of talent in the ring, both sides. I will say they kind of I think everyone expected the Elite to come back and win the titles that they had to be stripped, and that was not the case. And I think the crowd was surprised. I know I was saying with Tim, I was like, no way. Because during the whole match, I was joking around with Tim. I was like, and then Tony Khan's like, oh, yeah, there's one more part of your punishment, and then you're going to lose this match. And then it fucking happened. So
yeah. But now it's a best of 7 between these two.
God.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and I am all for it.
Did they wrestle each other in the finals? Was it them at All Out?
It was the no, because the Elite beat
The Hardys.
Did you guys read
And
that? Did you guys see the article that came out? Oh fuck! I want to give the right credit
Kurt
here.
Angle.
Oh no! Shut up, Andy. But no, the bringing it back for the old days. The old days, like 3 weeks ago. But what was it? It said that I guess Punk behind the scenes was trying to get AEW to tone down their style from like day one of him being there. Did you guys see that?
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
I'm gonna look that up now. Because I want to give the article
with all the flippy
credit.
floppers.
yeah. He apparently wanted that to slow down, but I was like, that's like one of my favorite parts, and also makes it more unique, anyways.
Maybe he was just trying to get them not to kill themselves.
I mean, I'm okay with it.
Our next match was Jade Cargill versus Nyla Rose for the TBS Championship. Jade Cargill came out dressed like a Thundercat.
Hang on, I gotta interrupt you. Sorry.
Swear to God, if it's Stu.
No, he was finding the article.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was finding the article. It was like Jamie from Rogan's podcast, you dickhead. All right, all right, so cage side seats, and then that seems to be. I just want to make sure here that I think cage side seats is the one and then, of course, Reddit had a forum about it. But I just wanted to make sure that whoever wrote that, we're not just saying. Sometimes I listen back to the shows and I hear like, oh, I read this and I saw this online, and I'm like, it's like my pet peeve. I want to start saying where we saw that stuff. So anyway,
yeah.
Jade Cargill versus Nyla Rose TBS Championship. Jade Cargill came out looking like someone from Thundercats. Sorry, I'd never watched the show. I just know that
she looked great.
Nyla Rose came out with Vicky Guerrero in a lowrider, and Vicky Guerrero was wearing an "I'm Your Mommy" shirt, which is a WWE Rhea Ripley shirt. So that was interesting to see.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you gonna say, right? It's like she wears it, and it's like, Vicky, yeah, you can't wear that. It's like, bro, no one's gonna say shit. I don't think on either side.
Vicky, what are you doing? Vicky.
Tony Khan's like,
Vicky,
you can't wear that shirt on there. That's gonna make it be sued.
I made him sound like Jerry Seinfeld. What are you doing?
That was also the best part of the match, by the way.
I don't want to wear the t-shirt. Yeah, God. Okay, so match as a whole, it was all right. I'm not a fan of Nyla Rose. Jade Cargill, it really depends on her opponent. I understand what they like. Nyla Rose kind of was the biggest threat to her championship up until now.
This was
wasn't my favorite
match.
women's match on the show, but my favorite women's match on the show was later. It was the AEW women's that was very good. But
I mean, honestly, if I'm booking, if we're not
booking wise, it was good.
It's funny, like if AEW had WrestleMania, which I guess Full Gear is Full Gear or is Double or Nothing or All Out.
Double or Nothing.
But like. So let's just say like their WrestleMania show, whatever that one is. And, it's like, of course, the standard is WrestleMania. So I got to say that it's like, if we were talking about the XFL, we're going to talk about the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. It just is what it is. But if they had a WrestleMania show, it's funny. The two women's matches that were on the show would be like the two that I would book at their WrestleMania, which would be Saraya versus Britt Baker. And my other one you'd have the two powerhouses. You'd have Nyla Rose and Jade Cargill. Sorry, Jade. So yeah, I mean, it's funny that these two matches just happen to be the ones that were on there. I mean, there was more, but these are the two that stood out to me as like, if I was fantasy booking or if I had like a fig fed when I was a kid, these would be the the matches that I would want.
Oh, sorry. No, I completely agree.
Am I boring you?
It's getting late. All right.
And he's yawning. He's like, is he almost done?
No.
He's like, oh, women's
I
wrestling.
remember watching this pay-per-view, watching this pay-per-view with Tim. Tim's like, Jesus, how many matches are there? I told him, and he's like, oh my God. I was like,
I was getting annoyed. At one point, Andy was like, dude, there's like 6 more matches. I was like, what the fuck? How many matches are
I think
on
we were on
this
like
show?
match 6. I think we're on match 6. I was like, yeah, the last WWE pay-per-views have all ended on 6 matches. And you're like, and we still have like 4 more. I was like, yep. You're like, oh my God.
Because Andy was like, the next weekend when I come over for the WWE show, you're going to fall asleep. I'm like, no, I'm not. Because they don't have fucking 20 matches per pay-per-view.
Yeah, but the 2 War Games matches are going to be long. They got to get
War
everyone in
Games.
there before they can start.
Yeah, that's
pinning. All right, so our next match was for the ROH World Title. Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Claudio Castagnoli, and Bryan Danielson. Story of the match, kind of, I think for a little while at least, was, you had JAS people against Blackpool Combat Club people. Eventually, Sammy did turn on Chris by breaking up a pin, I believe it was, that Chris had. And then Sammy seemed like he apologized for it, but then picked him up and put him in his GTFO, I think.
I think so, yeah.
The crowd a little
the
pop.
opposite GTS.
Yeah. A little pop for that. Overall, you had a lot of talent in the ring. If they were going to change hands, I would have liked to see Bryan Danielson win a title, but if I'm being honest, I didn't think it was going to go that way.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's more ROH champions for Jericho to continue this whole spree of his.
Bryan Danielson just gives me the vibe, like, in his AEW run that he's like, I don't care. I just want to wrestle.
It was announced today that after his contract's up, he's retiring from full-time.
I was going to say, because he just seems like he's like, I've been WWE champion a couple times. Like, I'm good. I'm just
WWE.
I've been there. I've had the yes movement. I'm just here to have fun. And because...
And also he came back from that injury, so it's kind of like, let me just wrestle and do what I want right now.
Yeah. Right. I think
there was like some old episode of, I don't know if it was, I don't think it was Divas, but it was some reality show where
it was either Divas or Bellas.
Yeah, he was gonna.
It's the 2 that he's on.
He was gonna
change his style.
He was gonna create it. Andy knew exactly where I was going. Where he was gonna.
I watched them all, man. I watched it all.
Whether he was gonna change his style and like wrestle like a monkey. Like he was gonna like.
He's like, if I do this, he's like, if I do this,
He was like running on all 4s. I was like, I don't know, dude.
So I protect my neck. I'm like, I don't know, man. You got to be in the fight pit and backstage with Shane McMahon or whatever it was. That thing there.
It was like a gorilla. He was like running like a gorilla, like doing like handstands and stuff. I'm glad that didn't end up sticking. He threw that against the wall and didn't stick.
So Chris Jericho retained his ROH World Title. I'm trying to remember. Are him and Sammy like? I think they ended up being fine. Jericho, I think, in a video package backstage said, I would have done the same thing if I was Sammy. So I think
Jericho's facing Ishii on Wednesday.
Yes. Tomohiro Ishii.
Yeah.
Ishii.
Said that one, or it's Ishii.
Yeah.
Ishii.
Who Kevin Owens had a slap fight with at the last pay-per-view.
Eddie Kingston, yeah.
Or I said Kevin Owens. Whatever. Fat guy.
Same person. I mean, let's be honest.
Fat guy.
I I love both guys.
Guys
I know
that wear tank tops and wrestle strong style.
All right, so let's talk about the next match. It was Soraya's making her return after 5 years.
They are kind of the same
Britt
guy.
Baker.
It is weird if you think about it.
Just one's super angry all the time.
One's Canadian, one's from like Brooklyn.
Yeah, basically
Yonkers.
same guy. Basically, Canada, Brooklyn, same place. Everything's the same.
Paradox. No, I'm not. All right, anyway.
So Saraya versus Britt Baker, like Tim said, this is, booking wise, this is a really, big match. Saraya, of course, was going to be under a microscope during this match. Everyone's going to be watching her every move.
This is the biggest women's match they've ever had. I'm sorry, but like, it is. It's the most like draw. The two biggest stars.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I know watching with Tim, me and him were kind of like, wincing at every little thing.
Anytime a wrestler first comes back, it was the same thing.
Like we did with Edge. We did with Edge when Edge first came back.
When Edge came back.
Same thing with Danielson, too.
Shawn Michaels, Danielson. Anytime someone first comes back from a back or neck injury, it just kind of weirds me out a little bit. Like, I just wince a little bit, because you're like, I'll never forget watching Sting take the buckle bomb in the corner and then collapse in the middle of the ring.
And then seeing Sting come back after all that time in AEW.
And what he does on these pay-per-views.
Yeah, I still get weirded out with Sting. But So first off, what do you guys think of the match as a whole?
I thought it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't great. I think it was just like her first match back after 5 years, so I'm glad she had
That's how I look at it. I look at it, okay, give it to Britt Baker for, keeping everything on track and being safe. I almost felt like everything they were doing was kind of like slowed down a little bit to like be safe.
Yeah.
In a way,
Yeah.
I feel like it could have been more fast paced like normally, but it was almost like they were taking it easy with the moves. Though the moves were dangerous, it's the way they executed them.
Yeah.
What it seemed
They're
like
being very safe.
Trying to be safe. It's like testing the waters, I felt like.
They weren't ferocious. They weren't done
being
ferociously.
Athena on Dark. All right.
It wasn't
Athena on Dark.
We weren't disregarding people's well-being and dumping them on their head. You're right.
It's a little test, and Saraya had done a.
I want answers about that girl. What the hell was that?
You're listening.
Big fan of the show.
So if this match was kind of like testing the waters, and to do it with someone as a pro like Britt Baker, I think was really good. I wouldn't have put her in there with someone like Jade Cargill, who's a little bit more green. I think the most experience on the roster is probably Britt Baker, besides Saraya when it comes to wrestling. I think that was a good choice for your first match back. I'm sure Saraya was like, if I'm going to have a first match back on your show, I think it should be someone like, that she looks at and feels like is a safe opponent. Again, who I don't know her, but I don't know where her head's at. I would just think that, logically that would make sense. So I hope moving forward, now that she got through that first one, it's one of those things you get out of the way, maybe then you can move forward in a different, more fast-paced way. Now that she's like, oh, okay, I'm comfortable back in front of people, back wrestling. You got that first one that everyone was, really watching you to see how you would do and, judging you off it. But Saraya ended up winning. I think she had to win, in my opinion. And then she had an emotional moment with her brother who was at ringside. It was cool to see her back in the ring. I always liked her. She won with the Rampage, and yeah. So, you guys like seeing her back?
Yeah, she had a kind of different outfit for her ring attire.
Apparently, it was inspired by Chyna's outfit, her black.
I guess I have to see it again now.
Yeah. I saw an article about it today. Let's get into this TNT Championship. What I mentioned last week about this triple threat match ended up happening. Wardlow, Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs. I'm telling you, Booker, Andy. When we all made our predictions.
And by the way, and Booker Andy T-shirt is coming to ProWrestlingTees.com, but we will discuss more
as well.
But hang on, we will discuss next week. Stay tuned. Keep going.
So Wardlow, Samoa Joe, Powerhouse Hobbs for the TNT Championship. Wardlow came in as TNT Champion. Samoa Joe is the ROH Television Champion, but it is not on the line. In the end, Samoa Joe ended up winning. And what I had mentioned last week, I said, what if Samoa Joe wins? And then now they have 2 television titles, and they just combine them.
You're right.
Well, I'm not right in the fact of combining them. We don't know that yet. But
he has both.
He has both. It could just become the AEW Television Championship. I mean, they did with WCW Television Championship. It is on TNT, TBS. I did not see it coming, though. I did not see Samoa Joe winning. Me and Tim really thought Hobbs was going to win. I thought it was his moment to finally,
I thought it was either Hobbs or Wardlow.
Yeah, I was like, Joe already has a title. I was like, he doesn't need to win another one. But I think Tim thought the same thing.
You know what I didn't see coming was Wardlow's Whisper in the Wind.
Dude, I'm telling you, huge Hardy fan. He did a swanton off the top rope. And he did the Whisper in the Wind.
Like, with ease. And he's like 300 pounds.
Gotta give it to the guy. His favorite wrestler. He's practiced his moves his whole life. Like, I'm sure he's so disappointed with the DUI stuff. So this is where Tim originally fell asleep. I got to say something, Tim, even though you already mentioned it in the beginning. But this is where Tim had to go back and watch. So he got through the Wardlow match, and then it was night time.
I was out cold.
I grabbed a trailer for Christmas Story Christmas, and he passed out.
That was enough to make me want to die, so I went to bed.
Jay Lethal versus Jeff Jarrett, or Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett teaming up against Sting versus Darby Allin. I keep wondering every time I see them team up when this team is going to end.
Sting and Darby.
Yeah, when Darby's just going to have like a solo run again. So I'm going to pass off to Jeremy. Let's talk about a couple spots in the match. You mentioned earlier when we were talking about Sting, what he had done.
But they were fighting on the outside. And
it went everywhere. It went everywhere in the arena.
And this one spot, like I feel like Sting, like on a pay-per-view level, like Sting is like a 99 overall. Like when he's fighting on a pay-per-view. Because there's like nothing this guy can't do. And he just beats everyone. It's insane. But he did another railing jump, which terrifies me every single time this guy does
Jay
it.
Lethal?
Yeah. Or Jay Lethal, right? Yeah.
Because those two were off, and then in another area, it was like Jeff Jarrett and Darby, basically.
Yeah. And Sting is like, what, 63? 62?
80.
80. And he's jumping from the freaking railing.
How old is Steve Borden?
But, we'll go over the part where...
He's 50. He's 63.
63, yeah.
So Darby goes for a coffin drop off of a ladder, off of the ramp / stage to Satnam Singh.
Yeah.
Satnam Singh catches him and pops him up like a razor's edge. Or if you're Mordecai, it's like the crucifix or something. Remember that short run, Tim? Mordecai.
Yeah.
Mordecai ended up showing up at the WWE ECW, but he was like
Andy used to make in the SmackDown video games. You could do create a wrestler.
The calls. Right?
And he would spend like 3 hours making Mordecai on there.
I didn't just make Mordecai. I made a lot.
He would like download it would be like move it like 3 clicks to the left. Like, it would like tell you
up. I'd be like 1, 2, 3, and then I have to reset it by
2, 3, 4, 5. And Andy would like,
and then Tim would fuck with me. He'd like try to distract me. I was like, fuck.
We would download these how to make them. Yeah.
So yeah, Darby Allin did a coffin drop off a ladder. Saddam Singh caught him like a trust fall, like under the armpits from the back. Popped him up like a razor's edge, walked him all the way to the ring, and then just tossed him onto the ramp. Not even like safe. It did not look safe at all. He just tossed him like he was a rag doll. I was like, I'd have waked him up and be like, Jesus Christ. I was like, look at this. And Tim fell asleep before the incident happened again, so I didn't try for a second time. In the end, winners were Sting and Darby Allin.
Yeah.
Let's move on to one of the best women's matches in AEW I've seen in a while, actually. I don't know if it was because the crowd hyped me up for how hyped they, or how much they wanted Jamie Hayter to win. So it was Jamie Hayter, the challenger, versus the, I guess, still interim women's champion. They need to just drop the interim shit, to be honest.
Well, they asked Tony about that in the media scrum.
They did?
Yeah, and he was like, well, I'm talking to Thunder Rosa because she's come back soon, or they're changing it.
Just get rid of it forever. You're the champ, and then you get a title shot when you come back. That's all it is. You get stripped. You get injured, you get stripped. Booker Andy, it's how we do it in my federation.
Done.
Jamie Hayter versus Toni Storm, AEW Interim Women's Championship. Good match. These two ladies used to be friends. I mean, I'm sure they're still friends, let's be honest. But during the pandemic, they lived together. That was the whole story that was being told, and that when Tony came to AEW, there was a different Jamie now. She wouldn't even talk to Tony. But no, I mean, the crowd was really hyped for this match. They've been behind Jamie Hayter for a long time now. I don't know how that organically started. I don't know.
Yeah, because Jamie Hayter just puts on great matches and always loses.
Because she, even being with like heel Britt Baker, she would like get cheered, and like it just kind of went from there.
She's a good wrestler.
You know, Rebel came out. She's fucking him. That's what's going on.
That's what's going on, pal.
What's going on with JR and Rebel? She's fucking him.
If anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, there was a I guess like 2 years ago now, Rebel and
they had a baseball game or a football game or something.
Yeah, and JR were like hanging out all the time, and they're both from Oklahoma. And like, I guess they were, you know, she probably just thinks he's like nice and like they're hanging out all the time. But they put up a picture together, and someone tweeted at JR and said, "What's going on here?" And then somebody under tweeted and said, "She's fucking him. That's what's going on, pal."
Sorry. Anytime we talk about Rebel, I have to bring that.
I know. I think of it every time.
So, solid match, very good. Best women's match on the pay-per-view, even better than Britt Baker and Saraya, which I thought was going to be the best going into it, but it makes sense.
That was one of the best women's matches in, I think, a long time for AEW.
Well, yeah, that's why I said, I can't remember one, better.
Yeah.
But winner and new interim women's champion, Jamie Hayter. It will be interesting to see how Britt Baker deals with it going forward. Her group was in the ring celebrating with her, but as fans, we all know how Britt Baker is. So
people are doing like the putting that, but was it Batista for Evolution? Oh, he goes up on the shoulders and they thumbs down. Like that's what's going to happen to her.
Just have to wait and see. We had our.
When you turned on me, I was very angry at you. Oh, sorry. I embraced my Triple H. My Triple H. Randy Orton won the title.
Tim's been sending me theme songs from 2002, 2003.
Oh, dude.
WWE
all the butt rock WWE theme songs from like.
Is this a theme song? I was like, no.
Bro, I'm telling you guys. Every pay-per-view theme song from 2002 to 2004, just go on the Google machine, as Conrad would say, and just type in list of pay-per-view theme songs. Make a playlist. So good. You won't regret it. I feel like I'm 13 again.
Stop at Summertime Blues by Rush.
Yeah, okay. That's actually, you don't even have to download that one. That's where everything died. That was the last. Start at
anger.
No, I'll take that one too. Here's where you start.
Or Summertime Blues for sure.
No, you start at the My Way or the Highway.
SummerSlam.
No, you start all the way back at WrestleMania 17 with the Limp Bizkit, and then you go all the way to 2004 where it had that stupid Summertime Blues song. Best pay-per-view themes ever. It'll never be that way again.
Blues.
Terrible. I was like, this is the end of an era right here.
We do those bangers back to back to back to back.
Except for that one.
With the theme song. I lost track of where okay. Yeah, I was like, wait, what match are we on? The Acclaim versus Swerve in Our Glory. AEW Tag Team Championships. We did call it in somewhere. I think most fans kind of saw where it was going, that in some way Swerve and Keith Lee would have some issues, which they ended up doing. In the middle of the match, Swerve, who has kind of been cheating to win lately, doing some shiesty shit.
This again?
Dude, I looked it up. It's not bad, all right? I made sure.
I know it's not bad. I left it in, though.
I actually did look it up. It's not offensive. It just sounds like it would be.
You can't see Jim.
Andy.
Swerve's been winning shystily, and
you know what? I'm gonna leave that in, and that's all on you.
Yep.
Hashtag
canceled Andy. Cancel.
Are you sure? It says hashtag shysty on it.
We're gonna make it. Actually, it's gonna say Booker Andy, and then it's gonna say Booker Andy, and then in big red letters, it's gonna say canceled across the top of it.
Yeah.
So Swerve handed Keith Lee pliers to use on the Acclaim, and Keith Lee wasn't having it, and he ended up. I think Swerve slapped him across the face, if I remember. It was getting late.
Yeah.
At this point, it was probably almost like 12 o'clock, to be honest. And Keith Lee decided to just walk out of the match in the end and leave Swerve by himself. Up until that point, it was a really good match. This is their third time wrestling each other, I believe, for the titles. Every match has been, pretty good. But in the end, 2-on-1 doesn't really ever work out for the one. And so still your AEW Tag Team Champions, the Acclaimed, because everyone loves them. Now, next on their radar is probably FTR, and that's when I'm going to be conflicted. But we will see when we get there. Hopefully they save it for Revolution, which will be like 2 to 3 months away. So there's some time to still have the belts on the Acclaimed at least.
Yeah.
I think it's usually like February or
winter's
March.
Coming.
Winter is coming. Fucking, I hate those. And then Quake by the Lake, Battle of the Belts 4.
Battle of the Belts didn't even do anything.
Nothing.
five
Titles don't even
people
change
watching.
hands at Battle of the Belts.
Yeah. It's not even like a big show either.
Let's get to this main event. Great main event. Loved it. MJF comes out looking like a star in his robe.
Motorboats a woman on the way to the ring.
Tits. During Moxley's performance, I don't know who he was looking at in the audience, but he was doing a jerk it.
Oh my god.
For your kids' ears, we're getting graphic in here. He was joiking it. There was tits.
I like his tights that he
the
wears.
rated R, rated XXX GW fan episode.
MJF's tights.
We've said fucks like 20 times.
MJF's tights have MJF written on them in like the Ric Flair font from his tights that said Flair.
Yeah,
which I think is really cool. This crowd was not hyped for Moxley at all. They didn't really boo. I mean, some cheered, but really the pop was for MJF. Everyone in that arena knew this was his moment.
Yeah, they cheered Moxley when he came out, but that was it.
Yeah. And Moxley could look around and could tell, though. You could tell at times, like, when they were chanting MJF, he was like, oh, really? Like,
he's pretty good. He plays, like, the heel, technically, in this.
I mean, yeah, technically. I mean, from a fan point of view,
Yeah.
MJF is supposed to be a heel, but organically he has become a babyface and the face of the company. So the match itself, loved it. I thought it was one of Moxley's best matches. MJF was very good, and MJF is great. All right, he doesn't have to do a bunch of bullshit, and he's sold.
All right, don't be like Braun Strowman right now.
I don't mean that kind of bullshit. I'm just like, he doesn't have to try too hard. Like he just does solid selling. Solid. Like his selling is great. They worked his knee. I think the whole time he even sold the knee in the press conference, the media scrum afterwards. He was limping around on the stage.
Yeah.
I just mean he doesn't have to do too much to push the story that's being told further along in the ring.
No, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And Moxley does the same thing. He doesn't do too much in the ring. They're not doing crazy stuff. I mean, they did do a pile driver through a table.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be a Moxley match if you didn't have that. Yeah. I'd say. But I loved it, man. I didn't even say the winner. New champion, MJF. Moxley can finally take that 6-week long vacation he's postponed. I'm sure he will. I'm sure we won't see him for a little bit. But let's talk about how it ended. Yes. Yeah. Tim, I actually want your take on it, on the little swerve they gave us with the ring and Regal.
I got to say, I definitely didn't see Regal aligning himself with MJF. Sorry, excuse me. I was pretty shocked by the whole thing, but I also loved how it was kind of a double swerve. Like they made you think, don't you use the ring? Don't you use it?
Yeah. So MJF pulled the ring out of the tights that he said he would not use. He pulls it out. Regal comes down the ramp and yells "Don't you fucking use it!" And MJF chucks it at the ramp. And then 2 referees had been down in the match, and Mox goes for or tries to pin MJF, and Regal's like, the ref's down, and so Mox is distracted and goes to grab the ref.
He has the bulldog choke. MJF taps.
MJF's tapping out. That's right. He's not pinning him. And Regal's like, the ref's down. You got to get the ref. And when Mox is going to get the ref, Regal slides MJF the brass knuckles. And MJF, gets up. Moxley gets the ref up and turns around. Or before the ref turns around, Moxley gets hit with the brass knuckles. 1, 2, 3. Your new champion, MJF. And then Wheeler Yuta tweeted out, "Fucking snake," afterwards.
Yeah, apparently for this ending though, I read that it was Tony Khan. I think
there was a different ending, right, or something.
Yeah, some other people pitched different endings, but Tony Khan really wanted to do this one, which I agree was the right one because it made the most sense.
Regal with Regal's supposed to be a heel. All right, Regal always was a heel. Put him with MJF.
Yeah, he even says he's the villain. Regal does.
So, I'm super excited for this moving forward. Do you guys want to talk real quick about, since we're on MJF, about MJF's promo he cut at the Meet 'em Scrum, and then we can wrap it up?
Yeah.
So you both watched that, I would assume, because Tim's the one that brought it up to me, and you and me were talking about it before. So it's I only watched that part though. I didn't see the rest of the Medium Scrum. So MJF, instead of sitting down next to Tony, just walks up and starts cutting a promo to everyone.
He stands right in front of Tony Khan. He's like, they pay to see me, not you.
So I want your thoughts on his promo. Kind of the stuff that he talked about, saying that basically he was saying that AEW's must-see TV now. He's not going to give the reporters his thoughts. You have to tune in for that, he said.
Well, can I?
Yeah, what's your guys' thoughts on the promo and his thoughts of him being champ now?
Can I share something with you guys? If you don't mind. But my buddy, he knows nothing about wrestling at all, okay? I mean, literally, dude, he's the guy, it's the drummer of my band. He'll, super nice guy. He's curious, he'll ask me, dude, you gotta, he loves Star Wars and, all that kind of like culture, nerd culture stuff. So all the time he's very interested. He's like, man, you'll have to sit with me sometime and show me like a cool wrestling match. I want to know why you like it so much. But he sent me just on Saturday, he said, this is a podcast I listen to all the time, and they had on a professional wrestler. I have no idea who this guy is, but I thought he was funny. And the podcast name was Pardon My Take, and MJF was on there. And it just goes to show, you know, like, these are the guys that get other people watching the show. And this is a real-life example. I'm telling you, this guy knows absolutely nothing about wrestling. He thought MJF was funny, and enough to where he wanted to message me and say something about it. So, yeah, I mean, MJF he's speaking the truth, you know? I think his promo was, you know, he's playing a character, but he's also talking facts at the same time.
Well, how do y'all feel about the MJF era?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of can't wait for this every Wednesday right now. Imagine all the promos he's going to cut.
And I mean, look, I love it. I think it's funny. I love to give the elite shit, but I'm also the guy wearing a Bullet Club hat, and I have a freaking Bullet Club tattoo on my wrist. So I'm excited for the MJF era, and I'm excited that the elite are back. I'm looking forward to some stuff to watch on AEW again. You know, there's some stuff that
they missed a lot of that.
I missed it as a fan.
AEW needed a lot of this.
Yeah, I missed it as a fan.
That wraps up Full Gear, Tim, if you want to take us out.
Well, we ran a little late tonight, but I'm going to wrap up the show quickly here. Homework for the week, and it's funny, one of our listeners, Paul, had talked to me and said, I love when you do the homework. He said, I actually do it. And I said, nuh-uh, do you really? I always just say it as a gag. And then he's like, oh, no, I actually watched the stuff. So I'm like, that's really cool. So if you do enjoy the Classic Show of the Week segment, my recommendation for this week is Starrcade 97. And the reason why I'm choosing this one is because it's pretty much WCW at its biggest point in their show history. The build-up for everything, Sting versus Hollywood Hulk Hogan, who was the leader of the NWO at the time. The match, I'm not going to lie, was kind of disappointing. We're not talking a 5-star match or anything like that, but it was a year-long build-up. The entrances, everything about it has a big fight, big-time feel, fun atmosphere, and the rest of the undercard is actually really good. So Starrcade 97, WCW, go back in time, go back, almost 30 years at this point. Enjoy a little old school wrestling. And again, we appreciate you. Thank you so much. You know, everything that you guys do, we really appreciate it. And tuning in every week, it means the world to us. Well, we will see you next week for episode 62. And you all have a good one. Have a good week. Thank you. Bye-bye.